Hi everybody, I'm Anusha Bharadwaj. I'm the Executive Director of Voice for Girls. Today I'm going to talk about how my midwife makes my voice matter. Since 2002, I have been a development sector professional. I've worked in several areas of child rights and worked with areas of child education. But most of my work has been around girls' rights and women's rights. I work currently, I'm leading two organizations called Voice for Girls and Soch for Social Change. Both these organizations work in the area of empowering girls and women about their bodies and how to take charge of their future by being much more aware of sexual reproductive health, gender, and sexuality, and at the same time inspire them to be able to plan a future for themselves. Since 2011, we've reached out to more than 85,000 girls through our program and more than about 4,000 young women through our programs. In all these cases, I've realized that when you empower girls with information about her body and her rights, she tends to be very, very powerful and empowered. I'm going to play a small video about the work we do.
There are 72 million adolescent girls in India. These girls have an incredible power, the power to transform their communities and their nation from within. In her lifetime, a girl can shape not just her own future, but that of the family she is born into, the family she marries into, and the family she will eventually raise. Her voice matters because her voice can create change, generation after generation. But of these 72 million girls, many are left with little control over their futures. Decisions are being made for them, and without the ability and information they need to make healthy choices for themselves, these girls are likely to remain caught in and perpetuate cycles of poverty.
Why don't girls have their own
Why
freedom?
can't I get a job like my brothers?
Why can I leave my house alone?
What is happening to my
Why
body?
my parents forcing me to marry?
Why don't girls
Why
have
do
their own
girls
freedom?
not
Why
get a
can't I
higher
get a job
education?
like
Why
my
can
brothers?
I
What
leave
is
my
happening
house
to
Why
my
my
body?
parents forcing
Why
me to
girls
marry?
have so many problems?
But what if there were a space where girls are able to answer these questions for themselves? A space where girls are encouraged to love themselves and pursue their dreams by older female mentors. Where, in just a few weeks, girls are given the tools they need to shape their lives in the way they envision. Voice for Girls creates this space. Through activity-based camps, we give marginalized adolescent girls the critical knowledge, life skills, and spoken English they need to take charge of their futures. Our girl-focused curriculum teaches campus to stay safe and healthy while mapping their future goals. Counselors, local college students, help girls build their confidence, leadership potential, and critical thinking ability. After completing camp, we train girls to be peer leaders or sakhis and bring the knowledge they've gained in camp back to their friends in school throughout the year, creating a ripple effect of change. Thousands of voice campers across India, ready to advocate for themselves and their futures, can start a revolution of girl champions. With the opportunity to stay in school and delay early marriage and pregnancy, it is proven that adolescent girls could add $110 billion to India's GDP during their lifetime. It's time we heard the voices of those that will change the future of India.
I am talented.
I am brave.
I am beautiful. I am confident.
I am powerful. I control my future. I can make my own decisions.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
I have a
I
voice.
have a voice.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
So, as you see in this video, I strongly believe that when you give girls the information, she builds a circle of solidarity around herself. She stands for her rights and the rights of others in her community, and she believes that. And when you present information around sexual reproductive rights without shame or stigma, she appreciates that it's a natural and normal process of living. Um, all of this was really great in terms of my professional work. However, when it came to my personal life, I was around 30 when I had my partner and I, who were already married for about 10 years, then were in a dark corner. We had two unfortunate miscarriages, And every time the only response we got from the medical care system is there was something that was wrong. And after a lot of exploration, we realized that it was TB in the uterus. So my obstetrician then just gave me one option. She said, if you want to get pregnant, the only option for you right now is to go the IVF method. My partner and I were not really comfortable with that. So we decided to live life and see where life takes us. But in 2016, when those two pink lines appeared, I got into this journey of motherhood with a lot of anxieties, and the medical care system snowballed that right back at me, because every time I met my obstetrician or any of the medical staff at the hospital, very soon the conversation led to how precious my pregnancy was, and through the process, instead of the healthcare system trying to lessen my anxiety, they made me more anxious. So 28th August 2016, I was on the labor ward on the bed. It was my labor was induced, and I had an IV running through me, and I was on the bed completely with no movement. And that's how I started the birth of my child. And what really happened was that I felt I was a patient and not a pregnant woman who was there, who was naturally calling out to her body to birth. And there was really no birth plan. There was no birth plan that the obstetrician or her staff had discussed with me. And there was no dignity in the labor. Anybody would come in, would examine to see how much I was dilated. No permissions were taken. And like I said, I felt completely helpless on my back on a hospital bed. I was medicated throughout the process without really telling me why I need to be medicated, or really how is that aiding the birth. And after a fair 28 hours of being in that state, they told me that they had to do an emergency intervention, and quickly within 10 minutes wheeled me into the operation theater. So my son was born 28th August 2016, and as soon as he was born, he was taken away from me. I did not even get to see my child, and immediately I could hear that he was being fed milk from a formula. And for almost 6 hours after that, I did not get to hold my child. So I started the journey of being a mother, being afraid of suddenly being snatched away from my child, being completely helpless because I did not understand why the labor was like that, why my child was taken away from me, really not having that connect, because I had this child, baby in my hands, but I was completely confused as to what to do. And this exacerbated because through the journey in the hospital the next few days, it was about this baby given to me. I did not feel a connect. I was not able to breastfeed the child. I was completely lost, and this really was the reason that I went into a full blown postpartum depression. I did not know at that time that this is what was happening, but this is and it took me a few months, almost 2 or 3 months, to realize, accept, and seek out for help and care to heal myself from this the pregnancy and the childbirth and everything that followed. So it took me some time to love this child that was born to me, connect with him, and heal through the journey of not being with him for the first few hours, and recognizing that it was postpartum depression, which was the buildup of a lot of the pregnancy and childbirth trauma. And through all this, the only message that I took forth is to say, well, it happened, but I really don't want to put myself in that position again. And it went on for a couple of years where I was like, I have a child. This was supposed to be a precious pregnancy, and I don't think it's ever going to happen again. And one cold winter morning, everything really changed. I shared the platform with an amazing woman, Dr. Evita Fernandez, in the TEDx Women, Hyderabad Women, where I spoke about my organization, Voice for Girls, and my journey of being the hope for thousands of adolescent girls and young women. And she spoke about birthing and pregnancy, and in a way that it really sank to my heart, because she said a woman instinctively knows how to birth, and we just need to listen to her. And I remember, speaking to her afterwards, and she really was the oracle that predicted the second child. She said, "You're going to have another child, and you will have a beautiful birth story." And I never really took that very seriously. But I knew that if I wanted a second birth, I really wanted to have a birthing story like she shared. And so 2019 December, again a cold winter morning, I saw those two pink lines, and that time I instinctively knew that my journey will be with a midwife. And I found the most amazing midwife in India, who's much more a friend and than a midwife right now. So I really had a beautiful journey, where she instilled in me right away that I have a voice, and really that my voice matters in this whole experience of pregnancy and childbirth. And and really the biggest difference with the second child was that my midwife was my ally. I remember calling and messaging her at 11 in the night, saying, I was 4 months pregnant, and I was like, Indy, I have eaten a papaya, and everybody says, and everything on internet says that it will lead to a miscarriage, and I'm very anxious. And promptly my midwife sends a message, don't worry, go to sleep, you're okay. And just that was the beginning of a lot of these moments of anxiety turning into memories of, hey, you know what, we faced that, but we are in it together. And really she was my advocate with the medical system that is designed in a way to put barriers in between them and the people who they serve. So she was the filter to all the medical mumbo jumbo. She was my advocate when she was speaking to my obstetrician, saying, no, you need to see Anusha, and this is what she has, and she has a concern, and you need to listen to her now. And through the whole journey with baby number two, I felt really warm and in the care. So, in the spotlight of what happened with my first birth, she also coached me to say, "You've had a traumatic first birth. You really need to talk about it and heal yourself. Don't go into your second birth with that." So that's how the 2020 being a year that is, we are all going to remember this for a long time. But personally, it was a journey that brought baby number two, and with a beautiful pregnancy all through 2020, despite the pandemic. And on 17th of August 2020, I checked into Fernandez Hospital for the birth of my second child. And through it all, my midwife was there right by my side. And she said, well, these are the things that are happening to you, and this is the procedures that we want to do, and this is what you, and I want to hear what you want. And whether it was how my room has to be lit, to me wanting to take a hot shower at that point, or the food that I wanted to eat, she was there to say, I'm there with you, let's do this together. So all of 19th August 2020, we spent several hours preparing for the birth. She walked me through it. We were sitting on the birthing ball. She gave me massages. She and her team helped me understand exactly every point of the way what happened. The outcome of both my 2016 with my first child and with my second child was that I was wheeled into for an emergency C-section. But the biggest difference was in 2016, I felt a victim of the circumstances that were presented to me. But in 2020, after trying natural birth for a long time, my midwife and I took an informed decision that for the better, that it was high time that we had a medical intervention for the birth of the baby. So I did feel that no stone was left unturned, and we tried everything in our power to have a natural birth. And thus began my journey in 2020 on 20th August 2020 with Zara, my daughter, who has the spirit of the Fernandez culture, and I'm sure my oracle, Dr. Evita Fernandez, has breathed her spirit into her, and indeed has brought that magic into me and motherhood being a joyful journey. I hope that the years ahead, I have a lot to learn from my children, and even though their birthing stories have been so different, I now know that I am, and I have it in me to be the best mother that I will keep trying. And this is the voice that really needs to be spoken, and I'm speaking here because I believe that I can empower other girls, and I share with them that they have rights. But when it came to myself and my rights for pregnancy and childbirth, I felt powerless. I felt helpless. And how it's really important to embrace and fight for those rights throughout. But this journey with my children will not just remain a personal journey. I am going to use every forum available to me to speak about the rights of women, pregnant women, and their rights during pregnancy and childbirth. And I've already looked at how this can go into the several curriculum that we run through Voice for Girls and SOCH, both of the organizations working with girls and women. Uh, that we really, want every girl and woman to know that she has right to respectful pregnancy and childbirth. And it's embedded into a larger curriculum of sexual, reproductive, and health rights, because I think every girl should know that it is a natural and normal process of having her puberty and menstruation, but she should understand really what her sexual health and reproductive health rights are. And I will use my voice to amplify the voices across India. Thank you for listening to me. I look forward to hearing questions from you.